When we spoke with the resident electoral commissioner last week, she gave us some really precise readiness figures from the number of BVAS machines deployed for this election. She mentioned that there are 183 split units created, 978 reserve BVAS machines, all charged and configured. She also interestingly mentioned that there hasn't been any BVAS breakdown since November 2022 when she took office. I got some contrary opinion to that regard online. We're expecting to find out precisely what the operational guarantee will be ahead of the election tomorrow and how prepared the umpire is, especially with the BVAS machines that we understand now comes with power packs and backups. We're expecting to speak with her shortly if we can get her in our office, but we understand how busy today is for INEC and every other stakeholder. Joining me now is senior correspondent Solomon Ajozio, who is live in Awka for us. Today is a work-free day, Solomon. I believe giving everyone the opportunity to travel back to base ahead of the election. What have you seen play out, with that holiday?
I had to go to towards the government house and public offices across the state to find out how the work-free day was having effects there. And I must say that, the road to government offices were deserted, almost deserted. Even the governor had to leave early from the government house to go to his hometown, ahead of tomorrow's poll. So, and then we had to go a bit to the bus parks. And I must confess to you that the transport owners were confessing that it has been a beautiful day for them because passengers appeared to be in a hurry to get to somewhere before nightfall. The frenzy, the movement at the bus park today was fantastic. They made a lot of money because people were rushing to go home to get to vote. We spoke to some of the people, the passengers at the parks, and they said yes, that the main reason that they are going home, rushing home this way, is because they want to go to where they were registered to vote. Well, there are some people who are moving towards Onitsha because they want to quickly get to Asaba because that's where they are, that's where they live. And so they are rushing down there so that they will not be part of the election because they did not register in the state. So people are heading towards Onitsha then to be able to get into Asaba. But as it is, many of the people in Anambra are really, really going home to their constituencies to make sure that they are part of the vote. In fact, a particular lady spoke to us and she said, in fact, that her mother asked her to come home to be sure that she will be voting for the candidate of her choice. So that is exactly how much it is. We hope that these activities, these movements will translate to higher voter turnout than the 10% they had the last time out when Anambra voted for a governor.
The number dropped from 21% in 2017 to 10% in 2021. Yaga Africa is now also saying that we're probably going to be seeing less than 20%. But trust INEC, every INEC stakeholder I've spoken with are optimistic that all is set and that they've really improved on what we saw 4 years ago. You've spoken about the energy on the street. We're going to now have to hope that it will translate into real votes. But precisely, what is the expectation across stakeholders when it comes to voter turnout this Saturday?
Well, stakeholders, the primary stakeholders usually here will be the politicians who are eternal optimists. Politicians will always tell you they have the numbers, they have the people for them, even the parties that seem to be, well, they are on the ballot, but some people regard them as not contesting will tell you they're optimistic of beating the incumbent to take over the government house in Awka. So you hear all kinds of things. But one of the general feeling in Awka is that the people of Anambra seem to have a particular style of not being very interested in public office or in government office or in the things that concern government. They are private people, they are egalitarian, they want to do things their own way. And so sometimes some of them are like, okay, so what is it about government and what's their business about government? But this time, the little difference here is that the kind of tension that Anambra witnessed in 2021 is not here now. There is less tension, even though people are still a bit withdrawn, a bit skeptical, a bit cautious, and all of that. People are a bit defensive, maybe because of the experience, the trauma of what happened 4 years ago, when there seemed to be a lot of conflict around the elections, a lot of bad things that happened around the election. But this time, the town has been peaceful. We've not had the violence in a lot of places, and we are hoping that it will remain so even on the election day. So I think that the less tension in the air is driving people to want to participate a bit more. Now, if Yaga Africa is projecting projecting less than 20%, at least it did not say less than 10%. That will be very, very bad. So if there's an uptick to the 10%, then it's an improvement from 4 years ago.
We have to really count on that, because it also speaks a lot about the legitimacy of the exercise itself. If you are having not more than 10% of registered voters come out, INEC actually says 98.8% have collected their PVCs. We need to get the exact numbers that got theirs this year before this election. But let's talk about security shortly. 45,000 police personnel. We're not counting the other, security forces. That's an unprecedented number. How that number scattered across Anambra, do you see them everywhere? Are they visible? What's the security infrastructure right now? What does it look like the night before election?
So where we were at the bus park, there was a show of force by the police today, driving around town to show their presence. Well, the beauty of this election is that it's an off-cycle election. So it is an election that is holding separate on its own from the general election. And so the government can then, the organizers of the election can then draw on, facilities, logistics from other places into the state. The neighboring states can provide security, officials, and everything. And so you don't have to deal with a general election where elections are holding maybe in 26 or 30 states, but this time you have just one state, so you can draw in all the personnel from everywhere, and that is the beauty of an off-cycle election. You'll be able to deploy more men per polling unit. The rule says that at least 3 officials per polling unit, and if you count that, then you look at the number that they have. Each polling unit then will go to about 15,000 officials, apart from those who will be on reconnaissance and those who will be up and about patrolling the streets and all that. You talked about 45,000 police personnel. We have over 50,000 security personnel altogether in all of this, and this seems a bit good. But then what happens on election day, we'll wait to see how that happens. You talk about legitimacy. Legitimacy in elections is not about the number, the quantum of the number. It's about what the law provides. Now, about those who voted. If 1/10 of registered voters vote, the 1/10 of registered voters decide who becomes the governor. And that is why the people have to get involved. So if the rest of the people, if the 90% refuse to vote and just 10% come out to vote, then the 90% don't have to complain about how the conduct of governance is carried out in their states when they refuse to be part of the vote. So the legitimacy is purely based on the number of people that turns up.
Well, I guess
the number of people that turn up on election.
We see how it plays out tomorrow. Indeed. Solomon Ajozugo live for us in Awka. Thank you so much for the updates there. Let's bring in the resident electoral commissioner, Elizabeth Agu, now for more on